like to bring the Ways and Means meeting for October 3rd to order at 4:02 p.m. Dan, will you make the roll call, please?
Lutz.
Here.
Duranzek.
Here.
Krieger.
Yes.
McGiff.
Here.
Heenan.
Here.
Ryder.
Here.
Garrett.
Here.
Quorum present.
Okay. Before you have the minutes of 9/5/17. What is your pleasure?
Motion approved.
Support. We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. This time we have public input. Anybody from the public that wishes to address the committee can rush forward.
Afternoon. My name is Bill Ernett. I'm with the East Michigan Council of Governments. I'm here to discuss the approval of the hazard mitigation plan. And we've been working with Mr. Redmond, and we're contacted to work with you to see if convince you to apply for that grant. The grant is for, I believe, $54,000 to $60,000. The grant would pay for the work that would be done by the contractor, which would be us, and the match that would be required would be through the in-kind voluntary hours that would be done through the Bay County, I believe it'd be the local planning team. So there'd be no cost to the county out of pocket. The hazard mitigation plan is a requirement of FEMA to receive pre-disaster funds so that you could do projects that would mitigate damages rather than doing projects that post-disaster projects, flooding and whatnot. Right now, the government also is looking to have hazard mitigation be incorporated into all plans. So within the next 5 to 10 years, hazard mitigation will be part of the master plan, will be part of the Parks and Rec plan. So it's important to have that plan in place. It's a 5-year plan. You're currently expired. Your plan was done in 2011, and you are not currently eligible for pre-disaster assistance or flood mitigation assistance. So we'd like to help you with that, get that in place. Our office has done 7 plans in 2010, and we did 5 plans in 2016, in which I was the primary contact person in the office. And I'm currently working on plans in both Sanilac County and Gratiot County. There's, like I said, the 25% match is in kind. There's no cost to the county outright. The grant would pay for all of our services that would be done in conjunction with the plan. It takes approximately 2 years to get completed once it's awarded. So if you get your application in now, I think the application's due within the next couple of weeks to the Michigan State Police, who handles the FEMA funds, and they would be awarding it in the springtime. And I'd be happy to take any questions.
Commissioner Krieger.
Thank you. So we had it at one time and it expired in 2011?
It was approved in 2011. It expired after 5 years, which was 2016.
And so it's 2017 right now. I would have thought somebody would have came here at the end or getting close to the expiration of our 5-year contract, so we wouldn't have had a lapse. Because I'm assuming if we would have still been eligible or legal, that maybe some of the people that had issues with the storm we had in June and flood damage, that they might have been capable of having some assistance?
Well, they can get assistance now. Post-disaster, they can't get assistance. It's the pre-disaster, which would be projects that would help mitigate the damages for other future disasters. But as far as that goes, I believe we contacted the office probably 2014, and at that point in time, the plan was still in place and still good.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Herrick.
When you say it takes 2 years to write this plan, so in between that time it takes to write it, is the county eligible for?
No, it's not. Your eligibility expired before we started the plan, so it wouldn't be eligible. Had you started the plan in 2014 or 15 and it expired in 2016, and you go beyond that, then you probably would have been eligible.
So it has to be, let's go 5 years forward. So if it's a 5-year plan, and it's not being written, so basically 3 years in, you got to run a new one.
Correct.
Okay.
Commissioner Coon.
Could you give us an example of what a pre-commissioned plan would be?
For a flooding project, if you have, let's say, 3 or 4 homes that are in a floodplain, you could purchase those homes, buy them out, then demolish those homes, and then you'd have a greenway. Midland did that a couple of years ago. They eliminated homes that were being flooded in, year out. You eliminate those. You could do a culvert system, improving that when you have water issues as well.
And those are all grant funds as well.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner.
So when we talk about this, we're talking about culverts and water. Does the grant work with the drain commissioner, or is this how they contract this stuff?
Okay. What happens is when you start working on the process, your emergency management director or coordinator would front the project. He would then utilize volunteers in the county, the municipalities, the drain commissioner, the road commissioner, whomever he feels is important, to be a part of the team that evaluates the 2011 plan and then updates that into the 2020 plan. They would identify hazards, identify projects that would be used to mitigate those hazards in the future.
Anyone else? Well, thank you, Bill. We
Thank you.
appreciate your expounding on it for us. So next, anyone else? I guess everybody else is some kind of a public official or something. So now we come into petitions and communications. We have, under A, we have the opioid crisis, telephonic Skype presentation. So are we ready for that?
I'm actually going to call her on the call. Do you have her on there? Okay, she just called. I'll dial in her, excuse me. Hi, Linda.
Oh, hi, it's Isabel still.
Hi, Isabella. It's Julie. How are you?
Good. So sorry about the delay. Everything is working now. Oh, let me turn on the camera.
Okay, and we're going to turn the TVs on our end. You are on our conference phone right now.
Okay. And Linda's coming in right at this moment.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
I'm going to be a poor substitute for Isabel.
Ready to go.
Can't hear her.
Can you hear us?
No sound.
I can hear you.
And we can hear you. Let me turn up the speaker here.
Good.
No, I'm sorry. I was just... How's that?
Can she see us? No.
Yes, she can.
Oh, she can?
I can see you all. Thank you all so much for accommodating me by video.
Thank you, Isabel.
No, this is Linda.
Oh, Linda. Yes.
Yes.
This is Linda.
Oh, this is Linda.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay, that's it. It's up for you.
So I am delighted to be talking with you all, and thank you again for accommodating me by video. I'm sorry not to be there in person. And I did have a chance to talk with with your corporation counsel in the past. I'm not sure. I don't have a presentation for you all. I'm happy to talk to you about the litigation. I'm happy to answer questions you have, whatever would be most useful.
And if I could, Mr. Chair. Linda, this is Amber Johnson, Corp Counsel. We spoke on the phone.
Hey, Amber.
Hey, I have spoken briefly to a number of the commissioners to basically give them a background of what the County Executive Association is planning on doing and partnering with your firm and the potential litigation that could be brought. I think that basically the commissioners would like some general background information from you on what the firm is thinking in terms of potential litigation and what the costs or potential costs to the county could be, and what type of damages maybe they would be looking at recouping, not in terms of numbers, but just what type of damages the county may have incurred as a result of the opioid crisis.
Okay. All right. I will try to remember all of those, but prompt me if I forget anything. So we have been working with a number of government entities on opioid-related litigation. We represent the first jurisdictions to have filed back in 2014, which is a long time of litigating against pharmaceutical companies. But on behalf of the City of Chicago, which filed, as I said, in 2014, we've now survived motions to dismiss. The case is deep in discovery, about 12 million pages into discovery. We also represent Santa Clara County in California. We represent Anne Arundel in Maryland, Albany County, Summit County, Ohio, as well as the city of Akron. And then 5 states, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Alaska, Kentucky, and then one more that hasn't publicly announced its investigation. So we are very much committed to opioid litigation. We recognize the enormous cost that it has imposed on counties, on towns, on states, and on families and communities around the country. In terms of the litigation itself, one of the things that Amber and I spoke about is it is a tough road in Michigan, and I certainly don't want to soft pedal that to you. You all, as you may know, have an exemption from liability for pharmaceutical companies, and your consumer protection statute doesn't apply to pharmaceutical litigation. So the claim that you would be able to bring is a federal RICO claim. You would be in federal court. And, you know, that is, I think, distinct to Michigan. There's no other jurisdiction that has, I think, the obstacles you all face. And again, I certainly don't want to short sell that. I know that the AG's office has decided for some of those reasons that it is going to pursue settlement rather than separate litigation. You may be aware that a group of states have banded together in a multi-state and are investigating and looking to resolve their claims against the pharmaceutical industry. There are 2 sets of claims here. One is against the companies that make opioids, like Purdue Pharma, which makes OxyContin, which is probably the most visible symbol of this crisis. It's really the drug that started it all. But Purdue Pharma, there are other companies like Endo, which made Opana, which was just withdrawn from the market because it was so widely abused by injection. And then 3 other manufacturers that typically are named, and then there are potential claims against the companies that distribute opioids. And the basic theory of that case is that if they have distributed so much product in a market that it couldn't all be used for legitimate medical purposes, that it has knowingly contributed to an illicit market in controlled substances, and its failure to report that or to stop that is a violation of its duty in the county and its obligations under federal law. So those are the 2 kinds of cases. In terms of our arrangement, we do this work with states and cities and counties on a contingency basis. We only are paid as a percentage of any recovery. We advance the expenses of the litigation, and those 2 are only repaid if there's a sufficient recovery in the case. And then, Amber, I think the last question was what the county might hope to recover. So there are really a couple of 3 main purposes to the litigation. And obviously all of this is if we're successful, and we believe that the claims are solid, notwithstanding the hurdles in Michigan. One is to get them to stop the behavior. We know that drug companies continue to market these drugs deceptively, to claim that they're not addictive, to claim that abuse deterrent formulations are safe or safer, to not report doctors they're aware of who are illicitly prescribing the drug, various things like that. So to get them to stop it, to make sure doctors and patients have accurate information so they know what they're getting into, to dispose of all the drugs that are sitting in medicine cabinets around the country, around the county, and you may be aware that one of the major sources of illicit use, particularly for young people, is finding prescriptions in their family medicine cabinet, and that sets off a road of terrible consequences. So that's kind of the injunctive relief that typically our clients are looking for. Then there is recovery of the county's own costs in providing opioids to its county employees, both for its health benefits program and workers' compensation program. So that's really your proprietary costs as an employer. And then your costs as a government, and that's your 911 emergency response, Narcan, if you're providing them to your first responders, medical examiner, child services, anything that you all have experienced or assumed as a result of opioids in the county.
Okay.
So I think those were the topics, but tell me if there's anything I've left out or if there are any questions, concerns that you all have.
I think those are all of the topics that I asked you to cover. I guess one remaining one would be in terms of time. What would you think about in terms of a timeline for going forward?
So, and I'm glad you asked that because that raises two things. So we would need to gather some information from the county. And that's, again, both on the proprietary side, we need to get some information on your spending for opioids. So that's through your health benefits program and your workers' comp program. So we'd need a little bit of time to collect that. We'd also want to talk to some of the various department heads who are involved in providing services. And that's on the service side, law enforcement side. We'd want to talk to treatment providers and doctors in the county to get a sense of their experience with opioids. That generally takes us about 6 to 8 weeks, assuming we're able to get the information from you all. And I know it takes time to pull that together on your end as well. So I would say probably late November, early December, giving us some leeway for that. One of the other things that I want to make sure you're aware of is, there is a responsibility to do defensive discovery, assuming that this case is successful. We survive a motion to dismiss and a RICO claim. And Amber, I know you're aware of this, but it can be a considerable obligation. We do as much as we possibly can to help make it less burdensome. So we gather the documents from you, we interview your departments, we review them and produce them to defendants. But to give you a sense, in the city of Chicago so far, we've produced 3 million pages of documents to the defendants. And that's all, documents that we've had to gather from people's emails and their desk files. And that's not something that anybody enjoys having to do, and it's an additional obligation that your county employees will have to take on. And one other thing I wanted to just throw out there to suggest, I mentioned the AG's involvement in this case, and one of the things that we worry about is there are now so many cases that have been filed. There are many counties that have filed, Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky, kind of you name it, as well as states. Seattle just filed last week. There's been just a proliferation of these cases. Ultimately, what that means is that we think the drug companies and the manufacturers will ultimately decide that they have to settle these cases because the risk in not doing it is just too great. But I think the only path forward for them is through the states. I don't think they can resolve these cases county and city by county and city. And I do think it would be important and useful to have a conversation potentially with the AG's office. That would really be your call. But to talk to them about what their plans are, to see if there's a way for you all, without any obligation to us, because our interest is in making sure that you all are well served in this, but whether there's some way for you to work with them and see whether they will include you in any recovery that they might get. They have some interest here because if you go out ahead of them and there's a bad decision, that really undercuts their ability to participate in any kind of national or global settlement. And it may be that there is an easier path. You wouldn't be obligated to us for any fees in doing that, but I think it's worth exploring before the heavier lift of filing a lawsuit. So that was a long answer, Amber, to your question about timeline. I think probably early December.
Okay, great.
Linda, Jim Barsha, the County Executive, Bay County. Mike Griffin speaks very highly of you personally and your law firm. And we
Well,
do
that's
have-
very nice.
Thanks. We do, in fact, I'm on the board of directors of the County Executives of America and have been appointed to the Opioid Task Force. And at the NACO convention in Columbus in June, Mike and I had a long discussion. I've been appointed to the Opioid Drug Task Force by the County Executives of America. So I want to thank you for your dialogue today and sharing the information, and say that we do have a serious issue like the rest of Michigan, the rest of the country actually, in terms of people being exposed of all ranges and socioeconomic backgrounds, being exposed to particularly OxyContin, which you mentioned, and some of the other more super potent medications for terminally ill cancer patients that were not really intended, for casual use, but for rather end-of-life comfort. So we appreciate what you're doing, and I'm blessed to have a great board of commissioners and staff here in Bay County, and talked with them about this opportunity. And what I'll do is relinquish. I want to thank you for your time. And Mike Griffin was hoping to get up here in September, but assures us he will. Would like to get up and meet the folks in Bay County and the region. But what I'd like to do is relinquish any time for questions and comments by the Board of Commissioners. And it would be Tom Herrick, the chairman of the board, that would actually sign the document on litigation, as opposed to myself. So, thank you.
No question.
Hi, Linda. This is Tom Herrick. And I was wondering, is there an advantage or a disadvantage to getting out in front of this, like you said, if we were as Bay County versus the state, and then why is it that there are some states, and then like you said, the city of Chicago, not the state of Illinois, and the same thing with other cities. Why aren't the states just filing?
So some states have made a decision that they prefer to, either because the issue isn't as high up on their priority list, or because that's their approach to these cases, to go that route. Other states, I think, have felt that this is so front and center for them that they don't want to wait and see what happens. They want to be part of driving that process. So, and I think to some extent it's just a personal and policy choice of various attorneys general. So I don't think there's a uniform answer. I think for the cities and counties that are filing early, the reason they do that, I think, is twofold. One is because, maybe three. One is because, as the county executive just said, and I wouldn't presume to recite you all the statistics of your problem. You know them and live them in ways that I certainly don't. But it is a way for you to visibly engage on this issue and to make sure that Bay County is addressed in any kind of resolution to this issue. And I think that goes to the second point of kind of why sue if the state is involved. And I think the danger for cities and counties is, quite frankly, and again, we represent many states, but if the settlement is done with the states, the money goes to the state. And I'm sure you all have experienced that. And there are lots of state resource needs, budgets generally, and opioids specifically. And by putting yourself forward in this case, I think you're marking your place in making sure that if there is a resolution, that Bay County's needs are met, and that the state has to come to you and say, kind of, what do we need to do to make sure that we can get your case released or covered in the settlement, because the companies are going to want a complete end to this litigation. It's not going to settle with the state of Michigan and leave Bay County out there still litigating. That doesn't serve their interests. So it's a way for you to protect your interest in the state in a global settlement. And what the state does or doesn't do isn't in your control. So it's a way of making sure that whatever happens with the bigger case, that your claims and resource needs are addressed. And I think the reason for filing early, and my firm was very involved in tobacco litigation. For instance, we represented 32 states in that litigation. For the states that got there earlier, they received a higher return in settlement, and they had a larger voice in what the relief looked like. So AGs who cared a lot about youth smoking or whatever it may be, they were able to make sure that their their interests were represented in the resolution, and I think that's the reason to get out there earlier is to have a larger influence on the outcome and a larger return for your involvement.
Thank you.
Commissioner Begay.
I was just wondering about class action status for this, where they would bundle it if it's the federal, if we're going to RICO, is it a chance to go to class action where then the money gets spread out thinner, across the board?
So to avoid the issues in Michigan state law, we would have to file in federal court. There is a petition right now to create a consolidated or multi-district litigation. We don't know how that's going to play out. There's going to be a hearing on that in November in St. Louis. I don't think it's a slam dunk to get the cases consolidated because the cases are all very different. There are multiple defendants, there are different claims and different theories. So if there is an MDL created, a multi-district litigation, your case would undoubtedly be included in it. I think I can say that with pretty much certainty. In which case, what that means is either you will end up in the leadership of that case or not. I think the fact that we have such a big involvement means that we would be in a decent position to have a leadership role. And then you're right that there is some formula for distributing among all of the different government entities all of the proceeds of the litigation. And I assume that would be done not just on a population basis, but some metrics about prescribing, overdoses, or something that measures not just the number of people in your county, but how badly you have been impacted by it. And again, that's something we would fight really hard to make sure that whatever measures were used were ones that advantaged you and reflected what you hope to get out of it. But again, I don't want to talk as if I'm assuming that, there's some gravy train here and that resolution is certain. We think that facts are really bad for the drug companies and that conduct is egregious and that they violate the law and that there is now enough momentum on this issue that there will be judgments or settlements. But of course, I want to be clear that there's no guarantee of any of that. We're making our best assessment and we think it's worthwhile litigation. And listen, like I'm sure you all have faced in the county, we've met so many families now who have lost children or spouses or grappled with opioid addiction themselves, that we're really committed to bringing this to a positive outcome for people who've been hurt by it. So that was a long answer to your question. I apologize.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, well, thank you, Linda. We will take that under advisement, and I think we'll be...
We'll have a formal motion at our next board
Right.
meeting on Tuesday.
It'll be next Tuesday that we'll address this in a formal manner.
Terrific. Well, I so appreciate you all making time for me, and it's really been an honor to get to talk to you all, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julie. Good job. Technology is funny when it works, and Julie makes it work.
First day home. Are you all caught up now? Okay. Okay, we have next on the we'll be addressing that at the board meeting next Tuesday, so we'll have more to come on that. Under item B, we got the Bay County Sheriff application for youth alcohol grant. Commissioner,
If I could,
Oh, no, let's go
before we
back.
go into the Bay County Sheriff, I'd
Okay.
like to make a motion to receive the presentation.
oh, okay,
Or
to receive their presentation. Thank you, Commissioner. And Commissioner Coonan, second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. So we're back to item B, right?
Yep.
Okay, Bay County Sheriff application for youth alcoholic grant.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next, under C, we have the Bay County Prosecutor grant awards. We have one, the Victim of Crimes Act, which is the VOCA.
So moved.
Support. We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next, we have Crime Victim Rights Grant. What's your pleasure on that?
So moved.
Support.
We have a lot of motions and one support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, next we have the Bay County Treasurer, annual review of the Delinquent Tax Revolving Fund, recommended budget transfer.
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Any questions for Rick or anything? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next, under E, we have the Bay County Drain Commissioner 2017 assessments.
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next, under F, we have the Health Officer. Nonpoint Source Program Grant Funding.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Under G, we have the Financial Analysis Hazard Mitigation Plan from EMCOG. You want to talk on that?
Yeah,
Well,
Mr. Arnett spoke about it earlier, and there is a resolution, proposed resolution, on pages 25 and 26, I believe.
yeah.
And what we're proposing is that we enter into a contract with MDEQ to the update of our plan.
So support.
We have a motion and support. Commissioner Brigade.
I just have a question on our table. Was this resolution, and there's one here, and is there a difference between this one and that one?
Unfortunately, the change in the whereas didn't get down to the results, so the Joanne can never retype it.
So we'll have a new motion for the board meeting next Tuesday.
Which will include the entering into a contract with MDEQ.
Because I think we need to keep this right in the forefront and make sure that we have this in place at all times for future. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have an Emergency Management Coordinator. We have the Hazard Mitigation Assistance Program, the HMAP grant application.
That's the same thing.
Was that the same thing? Oh, okay, I guess it was, yep. Okay, so we'll skip one and go to two, which is the Emergency Management Performance Grant, the MBEQ program for FEMA.
So moved.
Support. We have a motion and support. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Equalization Deputy Director, under I, we have the October appointment for preliminary apportionment preliminary report. What is your?
I think we're seeking to, I'm moving to refer it to October 17th.
Support. Yeah, this is just to put it onto the board meeting.
I think that it says on the seeking referral October 17th.
Right.
Is that the board? What's it?
The board meeting after the way,
Right.
personnel condition. So we have a motion to refer.
Moving it based upon what it says in the,
The only reason it would need to be moved then is I do not have all the tax request forms in yet, so this is not final.
so you're going to have a special board meeting, but I'm only referring it to October 17th, like it says in the packet, so.
Right, referring board meeting on October 17th. Okay,
I did.
we have support for that?
Support.
Okay. We have a motion and support to refer it to the board meeting after the personnel and judicial on October 17th.
Good question.
Yes, Commissioner Reed.
Are there millages or just one millage on a November ballot? It says millages. So I know there's the nursing home.
Just the county medical care facility,
Yeah, that's the only one then.
as far as I know.
This says millages, so I didn't know if there were a couple.
I got that figured.
Just that one.
And we got crazy with the typewriter. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor of referral? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Under J, we have the Mosquito Control Manager, the MDEQ Scrap Tire Grant.
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Under K, we have the BCATS Director, Utilization of Federal Transportation Planning Funds, the PL and Assist Management Fund.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Under Director of Department of Aging, under L1, we have the RSVP Volunteer Program.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. L2 is the waiver program. What's your pleasure?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Under L3, we have the Nutritional Services Incentive Program.
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Under L4, we have the temporary unit rate increases for the fiscal year 2017 from the Region 7 Division on Aging.
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Under M, we have the payables for the General Bayonet Center Ridge Arms.
Support. So moved. Support. Support it too.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Under N, we have from the Finance Officer, under N1, we have the budget adjustments. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Support. We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Under N2, we have the analysis of the general fund equity. Motion to receive would be in order.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under N3, we have Executive Directive 2007-11. Motion to receive would be in order.
So moved.
Support. We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Under N4, we have the Information Systems Manager, Bay County VoIP System, which is our phone system, correct?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Commissioner Coonan.
Now, how have we been dealing with this fund?
This phone system that we use today is from 1992.
No, how long have we been dealing with
2 years.
2 years?
2 years we've been working on this project.
Is it that involved, or what's the deal? I know it seems like I've heard this over and over and over.
It hasn't. What we did is we actually created a committee of different departments in the county together to determine the needs of what we needed for a new phone system. So what we determined through the committee, with finance and purchasing, and Chris at 911 was involved, and Ryan Manns, and conferring with other departments, there's the mass notification system that we're going to put in place so that if there's an incident to notify everyone in the county as part of the system. And then through the project, we actually had to decide a manufacturer, which is Mitel, and then we had to go out to an RFP to get proposals for the actual system. So that's why it's taken so long.
Hardware or the software?
It's a combination of both.
It was all bid out?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So,
almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in February.
Yeah.
But yes, I know it seems like it's been a really long time, and it has, and but we wanted to make sure that we had everything correct moving forward, that it was a big decision since we've had the existing system for so long.
And what's the life expectancy of that system?
You know, as we upgrade and change out hardware, it could last 10, 15 years. We have within our agreement 5 years software assurance, so we can just continually upgrade and make changes and continually running the same system. When we get a new hardware system, we can get, put it on the new hardware system. So Mitel will grow with us as we grow and change as well.
Did we go the lowest bidder?
It was actually the best value. One of the things that this company provided was a big component of what we're looking at is E911. So that, for example, when they dial 911 in the treasurer's office, we will actually know, Chris's people will actually know who's sitting at whose desk, who's actually calling. So one of the things we liked is the component of how they do E911.
And then we pay for the support annually?
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's included for 5 years, and then we can agree to do the 6 years on top of that after that.
Any more, Commissioner Coonan?
I'm all set.
Okay. Commissioner Hare.
So what you got rid of was that the 895 4000 front system where everybody, is that part of this where everybody, when you dial here, you get like it goes to one to one place, and then you really want to know who you're getting when you dial. When it comes up on my call, it never shows specific.
The caller ID will automatically come up. So when we call you, someone here calls you, it'll say, depending on what trunk it goes out, we can say who, if it's Bay County or so forth. Correct. Now, and when you call outside, we don't know it's you, so that will all be the inbound and outbound caller IDs will be in there as well.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Same sign. Motion carried. Do we have any referrals? I don't think so. Unfinished business? None. New business? Any new business? None. Closed session? We don't need one.
There's not.
Miscellaneous? Anybody have any miscellaneous? Okay. Announcements, Tuesday, October 10th, 2017. Huh? Yeah, I was going to say our date's up there. Right? Public hearing on the proposed 2017 Bay County budget. Right? 2018. Okay. That's 18 budget. Okay.
Motion to adjourn is always in order.
That was next. We have a motion and support. All in favor? Aye.